Hello everybody and welcome to T's Adventure by Gear channel. Thanks for checking in. Hi, my name is T. I'm a pro photographer and adventure bike rider. In this channel, I review gear that is essential or useful for your motorcycle adventure trip. If this trip is just for the weekend or if it's a big trip around the whole world. In this episode, I will go closer to home and talk about cameras, or rather, which kind of camera system works for your adventure bike trip. Let's jump right into it and look at the most simple and compact alternative. Today, almost everybody owns a smartphone, and the latest generation of smartphones are coming with some decent camera functions as well. This, combined with a small action camera like the GoPro Hero, for example, gets you pretty far in terms of sharing your adventure with the world. The great advantage of this setup is the size and ready-to-shoot availability. By the time your buddy got his bulky DSLR on his bag, took his helmet off, decided what lens to use, you probably shot about 10 images on your smartphone already, and are a long time ready to get back on the road. Not to mention that the five-legged dog is a long time gone by the time the DSLR is out and ready. The GoPro goes even further in the ready-to-shoot scenario, as it can be mounted practically anywhere on the bike or even on your helmet. Besides that, it can give you some pretty cool action footage of yourself while riding and make you feel like a proper hero. I suppose everybody knows the obvious advantages of having a smartphone on your trip, which is beside the camera or the other cool things you can do with a smartphone, like for example calling home. Now, the disadvantage of this super compact duo are its limitations. If you're a keen photographer and know how to work your way around f-stops and shutter release times, or want to experiment with different lenses, you will very soon come to the end of the abilities of your phone. Also, the GoPro, as cool as it looks in a few seconds in a clip, filling a longer clip or even a blog with just GoPro footage can get a bit too much for the viewer. There's just so much fisheye footage we can take. But for the keen photographer or videographer, there are alternatives that won't need a backup truck. In the last few years, both Sony and now Nikon as well came up with some fantastic mirrorless cameras. On the table I have two Sony models, the super compact A6300 with 24 megapixel and the new A9 also with 24 megapixel. Both cameras are mirrorless, compact and have the great advantage of interchangeable lenses, which in the case of Sony, some of these lenses are made by Zeiss. To be still compact, I would suggest using a 24-70mm lens like this one and one longer lens like the 70 to 200mm. The cameras give you full menu control, and the picture or video quality is way better than the images which you're going to get out of your smartphone, especially when it comes to low light or if you want to print your pictures. The downside to this option is the durability of the system. You can stick your GoPro anywhere on your motorbike and then drive it through rivers and dusty terrain and just rinse it off with clear water afterwards. Don't do this with the Sonys. A more personal disadvantage for me is a digital viewfinder. But that is a very subjective and personal thing. Other people might as well see this as an advantage. Last but not least, there's a full Pro option or the condensed version of it. A Pro or semi-Pro DSLR, like for example the Nikon D5 or the D850 or Canon EOS 1 or EOS 5. These cameras are big and bulky, but they do take a fair amount of abuse and they are fast and versatile. My setup for longer trips is usually a Nikon D5 with 3 zoom lenses. Those 3 zoom lenses give me a range from 14 to 200mm, all with an aperture of 2.8. On top of that, I carry a powerful flash gun with a radio remote trigger. Let me show you some examples of the images I took with this setup. The widest lens I carry is this 14 to 24mm lens with f2.8. These two images, for example, were shot with the 14-24mm lens and at a low angle to add some dramatic perspective. The most versatile lens is a 24-70mm with 2.8, and it's kind of my standard lens. It is a great lens for portraits and landscape shots alike. In this shot, I used a small flash to give some extra fill-in light. The longest lens I carry on extensive trips is this classic 70-200mm f2.8 lens. It allows me to capture people on bikes in a more focused way, and I can shrink landscapes together. Besides that, it's a fantastic lens for portraits if you want to give your subject a bit more freedom to move. Last but not least, I carry a hand flash and radio remote to trigger it when not on the camera. For most of my images, I'm using the flash as a fill-in, and the radio remote allows me to place my light where I needed it to be, which is not necessarily always where I'm positioned with the camera. If I have the need to go full pro, I also carry a tripod, and I carry reflectors, I carry more lights, and my backup camera with a 200-500mm zoom lens. The super long lens allows you to get really close to the action, like when I'm shooting sport events. On a long adventure bike trip, this is somewhat of an overkill though, and I wouldn't recommend taking it along. If you feel the need for this, you can always carry a teleconverter. That's all for this episode of T's Adventure Bike Gear. If you would like to know more about me or my adventures, please check out my website www.hen-photography.com. If you like this episode, please give me the thumbs up, leave your comments below, and if you haven't done already, please subscribe to my channel to get the latest updates. Thanks for watching, ride safe, and hopefully see you out there.